can't do a live stream. I'm on the ban for another 3 weeks. I'll do a video so you can hear some of my wisdom. It's a nice spring day for the end of January, and a nice thin shirt. So this is a beef farm. They're all, well, there might be some cattle in there unless they've gone off for slaughter or something, or wherever they've gone on holiday. And they will be in these fields here, and sometimes sheep, basically mainly in this one here and in that field there. That's Cathro Farm. Those barns are leased. The farmer lives in another valley a few miles away in that direction. Anyway, his livestock go to a major supermarket for beef, and the lovely cattle as well. See, farmers get nothing much, very little in terms of profits, or even the payment they get for a start, and the profit margin is small, it's tiny. Even though what you pay, you can see what the price you pay for your food, for British food. Guess where that goes? Most of that in terms of profit margins along the supply chains, with everyone involved from the farm gate right through to the supermarket shelf. Yes, we have a supermarkets competition commissioner and all the rest of it, but it doesn't work, does it? I mean, the Uni party has had decades to sort this out, and it hasn't. And shouldn't be because of donors, whatever else. But if you do want to move to a model of sustainable British farming where farms don't close, farmers can make a good living, a sustainable living, without having to worry about costs, and actually getting a decent income, not getting a decent income. We need to be moving to a system of, well, this is what Bavinswood Farm does, up near Whittington. They have their own cattle, they get slaughtered privately, and then they sell it on their own premises. We need to be cutting the supermarkets out of this. We need to be moving to a model of farmers in a cooperative, owning small abattoirs in their areas, then selling themselves, maybe coming together to open a produce shops in towns, in market towns, to sell directly to the public, to snip out the supply chains. Up until, I think it was the Maastricht Treaty of '92, which killed off most of the abattoirs in this country, small abattoirs. And it's also convenient for, yes, there are cattle in there. It's also convenient for the supermarkets to have, for their logistics and supply chains, to have a small number of large abattoirs around the country, rather than smaller ones in very rural locations like this. There's one in Mac, and he supplies, I think it's owned by the butcher actually, but those are getting increasingly rare. And I think there's only, what, 4 small abattoirs up in Scotland now, something like that. That's the direction you need to be moving in. Farmers to club together. Yes, I know there is such a thing as a veg box, those schemes. I need something a bit more like that, but rolled out, and to replace the buying power of the supermarkets, which just drive down, well, they see as drive down costs, but it means that the farmers get less and less per unit, and onerous conditions placed on what they can supply and what they can't. Oh, and by the way, should I mention here that the government has a payment bribe scheme, I should call it, to encourage old hand farmers to retire and take this bribe to leave the industry, because they won't operate in the modern manner of farming, which is what DEFRA want. The new incomers into the industry, they're more likely to be compliant than the ones who have been farming for decades and decades, that have been, their ancestors have been in the industry for decades and decades, family farms. So we want to get rid of those and bring in the bright new things who would be compliant with the correct way of doing things. So this is where our beef comes from. So, vive la France!